Hey guys, yours truly, Doug Christensen again. Hope everybody's doing well and find this video finds you profitable. Just wanted to cut a quick little video here on a neat little feature inside of Ecom Solutions. I've been noticing a little bit of chatter on the Facebook group, the private group, about how do we analyze our back end, all of our inventory inside of Ecom to know what our products are actually doing. So I thought I'd take a minute to share with you how to actually handle that and how to do it. Just a caveat real quick. Just want to start out by saying if you are a new seller or one that is not yet buy box eligible, this is probably not something you want to do just yet, but it's good training, good learning for you. So once you are eligible, you can certainly implement this strategy. But as you know from a previous video that I wrote, I think I called it selling on Amazon like your first 90 days or something like that. But you know, as a new seller, your only function is to source. You want to get as many products sourced and in your store or in your inventory as fast as humanly possible. So that's your only function. I wouldn't worry about any of this at this point, but once you are buy box eligible, this now comes into play and you want to start incorporating this as well. So that being said, this feature, in my opinion, most humble but accurate opinion, when it rolled out a little while back, in terms of drop shipping, is probably one of the best upgrades and features and improvements to the software that the folks at Ecom Solutions ever came out with. Beforehand, it was very difficult to really figure out how your products were actually performing, right? Didn't know if it, well, you knew if it was selling or not, but you didn't really understand, should I keep it, should I let it go? Why is it not selling? All of that stuff. And we had to rely on external software. They're so-called, just send us, your $100 a month membership and we guarantee you all of this, right? And you had to rely on their bogus, algorithms and hope that they're, it's accurate. Well, that's no longer necessary. There is no better data than what we can actually get directly from Amazon. And this software now has enabled us to be able to import that data directly from Amazon and then use our software to help analyze each and every one of our products to help us make better informed decisions on should we keep it, should we let it go, or can we just improve on it and nurse it, let's say, and make it start selling at that point. So just an incredible opportunity. And if you are buy box eligible, again, this is something that you should be doing because it's going to tremendously impact your overall sales ability, which we call sales velocity, which, as you know, is another thing that Amazon watches very closely. And the higher your sales velocity, more doors open up for you, right? Ultimately, it helps us be more profitable. So that being said, the other thing I want to say is I'm going to go ahead and assume this is all on the drop shipping side, not necessarily for FBA, but in terms of sales rank, I'm going to go ahead and downplay sales rank. And let me explain. The beauty of this business is that we're all independent business owners, right? So what might work for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. There is no right or wrong way to actually analyze this data and then implement what works best for you. It's entirely up to you, which I get excited about because as a business owner, I like to call myself the CEO, which is great, but no one tells me how to do this but me. And that being said, no one's going to care more about your business than you. So it's important that you understand your craft, right? Understand the ins and the outs of the entire business that you are involved in. And part of that is effective management of your inventory called portfolio management, right? So as we go through this, just keep in mind, I'm not really too concerned about sales rank. Now, when I first got started, when I first started listing, so much was placed on sales rank. It's got to be in the top 10% or 5% or whatever your goal was. And to some degree, yeah, that is important. But let's face it, guys, since it costs us zip, nada, zilch, to source products and put them into our store on the drop shipping side, does it really matter what sales rank, the sales rank of that product is? I say no. Some of you, again, may differ and disagree with that totally, and I'm okay with that, and that's perfectly fine. To me, what's most important, there are three basic factors that I mainly concern myself with. Number one is page views. Let's face it, you need eyeballs, right? If no one is searching for your product, I don't care how wonderful the sales rank is, you're not going to get any sales, right? Makes sense. The other thing is buy box, that coveted real estate called the buy box. You need to know that you have a fighting chance of being in that buy box, at least to some percentage or degree, right? And within that buy box, you need to know, is your pricing at a certain price that's going to enable Amazon to allow you to have a share of that buy box. So in my opinion, those are the three most important things that, at least that I look for. And when I import my data, those are the three main factors that I sort by or stack, and I'll explain that to you in just a minute. Okay, so let's talk about page views. As you know from my previous video, page view data, well, as a buyer, we look for the impulse buy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of reiterate that for just a minute. Let me see here. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to wonderful Amazon, and I'm now Joe. Let me see here. I'm Joe Anonymous, and I'm going to go ahead and do a search. Let's try men's running shoes, whatever. Oh, cool, nice gray one. Okay, so basically this is what a customer will do. All right, they put in a search term. They're going to land on, let me just go back and do that one more time. So anyhow, I put in a search term. You land on a basic, general page, and then the buyer is going to take its time to kind of browse and peruse the listing until they find something they like, right? So their eye may draw them to this one, and they're going to take a look. Now, most likely, since we know we're all very, very busy people, right? We don't spend a whole lot of time looking at this. This is what we call the impulse buy, right? So someone's going to come over here. They're going to look and read the title. They're going to look at the photo. They're going to say, oh my, a whole bunch of nice photos here. Okay, this looks pretty much exactly what I'm looking for. They may come down here. Oh, wow, a whole bunch of different colors. They'll pick out one that they like. They'll choose their size, whatever it is. They might even read the bullet points. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Some of them might even come down here and, well, I just passed it, and look at the description. This one actually has a pretty crappy description, but that's what they do. And if it suits their fancy, they come right over here and, well, I guess they have to choose a size first. So let's just say, all right, we're a big guy. We're a 14 and currently unavailable. Well, that won't work. So let's pick another one. How about, geez, all right, here we go, a 10. Is that available? There you go. So they're going to buy a 10. They're going to come over here and boom, they're going to click right here on that add to cart button. That is, if you didn't know, this is the coveted real estate called the buy box, okay? So boom. Now, that's typically what happens. But here's what I want to point out to you. If we start all over and we go back, let me try to get out of this. Come on. All right. So the customer went ahead and typed in, what they're searching for. They perused around and they click here. Bam. In my opinion, and to the best of my knowledge, this means you now have a page view. So when in the customer, again, let's go back to this here, and they have now selected the one that they're going to look at, okay, or the one that they want to buy. When this pops up on their screen, if you are an active seller, in other words, you're in here somewhere, let's see, I don't know if there is any other sellers on this one. This is all unrehearsed. Okay, 2. If you click here, okay, you're going to see there's basically 2 sellers. You have Amazon and this seller right here. So if you're an active participant or an active seller, you just got a buy box. I'm sorry, you just got a page view. All right. Now, I don't know specifically how Amazon actually what Amazon actually considers a page view, but for the purposes of this instruction, let's just assume, I'm going to go ahead and assume that when a customer pulls this up and you are an active seller, you just now got a page view. Okay. So guys, number one, if they're not doing this, then guess what? Well, you don't get a sale, right? No eyeballs means no sales. The next part is if you are an active seller of this product, and, well, again, doggone it, I'm sorry, they land here, you want to be up in this area owning the buy box as much as humanly possible, right? Knowing that a customer is looking for the impulse buy, they're going to choose what they like, come over here and hit add to cart. And you want to be in this box, okay? So number 2 is you want to be a buy box winner. If you're not, then the other part 3 is you want to make sure that your pricing is, in my opinion, best of my knowledge, I understand it should be within 5% of that price, okay? What Amazon basically is going to do is take what they consider to be the buy box, and then they're going to group together all of those within 5% of that. And then luckily, Amazon is gracious enough to rotate those sellers throughout the buy box. Now, there's a lot of different criterias that, come into play, but in basic terms, for the purposes of this video, that's what I generally look for. Okay, so hope that makes sense. You can understand that. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we go about pulling this data and utilizing it to our advantage. Now, first thing I want to show you, here we are in Amazon, our Amazon Seller Central account. 2 things I want to point out. First of all, look up in your bullet points here on this heading. If you see this, price alerts or suppressed, guys, you need to be taking care of those. It is critical that you manage this and address these as soon as possible. And I highly, highly recommend you do this once a day, or at least a daily activity. Why? Couple of reasons. Number 1, suppressed. If you have suppressed, what that's basically telling you is Amazon is gracious enough to tell you, hey, there's something not right with your listing. It could be there's no photos. Photos aren't the right quality. It could be simple as, well, you're missing the category. There might be some other things. Maybe it wants you to add bullet points. You never know. The list is pretty long. But here's what you may not know. If it is suppressed for whatever reason, you are not getting page views, okay? Same thing with your price alerts, okay? Price alerts basically are pretty self-explanatory. Either your price is too high or, funny enough, too low. At either rate, Amazon is again trying to protect their customers. They want to protect that buyer. So if they don't feel your price is indicative of a fair price, they are going to, again, make it, in this case, it will now be deactivated, which of course means no page views. So if you are using VAs, or even if you're not, but the bottom line is if you are adding inventory on a daily basis and you're not keeping up with this, you're basically doing yourself an injustice. You're shooting yourself in the foot because you're putting products in that have no chance of ever selling because you're not getting eyeballs on your listing. Okay? Now, the reason I recommend you do it daily is because you don't want this to get out of hand. But if you do it daily, it only takes just a few minutes. Just stay on top of it. The more you do that, the more efficient your inventory becomes, okay? So enough with that. So what we're going to do, in order to do this, First thing we're going to do is going to go to reports, and we're going to go to our business reports. And then over here, you're going to see detail page, traffic by child item. Okay, so we're going to click there. Now, depending on the amount of product you have, this might take a little while. Some of you that have tens of thousands of products, you might have to wait a little bit. But bottom line, it will then isolate, and you'll get this report that pulls up. Now, what I do is I go back over a 3-month period. Why? Because I want to make sure that each and every one of my products has a fair chance of getting a sale. Some of you may want to do this once a month, only go back, I should say, a month. Some of you may go back 6 months, whatever it is. Again, as I explained at the beginning of this video, you determine what works best for you. What I do is I basically sort and purge the data for the previous 3 months. Now, today happens to be the 1st of July. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and go back to April 1st, right? So I have all of April, all of May, and all of June. Okay, so again, it's going to go ahead and retrieve that data. And this might take just a few seconds. Bear with me. Excuse me. All right, so there we go. Next thing we're going to do is go ahead and download it. Okay, so we're going to hit the download button here and click on CSV. And that is then going to start to download. Now, I'm a PC guy. I don't know much about Mac. My apologies. But the next thing we want to do is download this to our desktop. So we pull this open. Next thing we're going to do is go to File, Save As, and then we're going to send it to your desktop. Now, again, I don't know how this is done on a Mac, but hopefully you can figure that out. Biggest thing is I'm not going to rename it because my system automatically creates a name, but you have to make sure that you are saving it as a CSV file, comma delimited, okay? So we're going to go ahead and save it to our desktop, and we are done. So we don't need this anymore. Next thing we're going to do is go over here to products inside of Ecom. And so I got there by hitting inventory, products, of course, and this button right here, you're going to see upload report from Amazon. So what we're going to do is click on that, and then this window appears. We're going to go ahead and select the file, and here's the file that I just downloaded, and we're going to go ahead and select that file, and then we're going to go ahead and upload the file. Now, Ecom Solutions does its thing, and it's going to utilize that data and then merge it into the inventory software part of this. So here we go. We have everything set up here. Now, here's where all the magic begins. Ecom Solutions has now given us the ability to be able to isolate this data and manipulate it to useful data that'll help us better determine how well our products are actually performing. Again, before this rolled out, we had to do this manually. So again, kudos to the team. But the first thing I want to do over here, you're going to see this button here that says Advanced Search. So what we're going to do is go ahead and click on that. Now, here's a couple of things to note. You can select either a fixed parameter, you can select a relative parameter, or both. And you can stack these on top of each other depending on what your ultimate goal would be. Okay, so before we get into that, let's go back and refresh. As I mentioned before, my 3 main points are page views, buy box, and my overall price within that buy box. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click here on the fixed parameter, and you'll see a bunch of drop downs here, and you got lots to choose from. But the first thing I'm going to do is page views. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, click on page views, and I'm going to leave it as equal, but I want to equal to 0. Okay, I can change that to less than, I can change that to greater than, whatever it is, but for now, I'm going to leave it at equal to, and I'm going to choose 0. What that's basically telling me, or I'm asking the software, is to choose any products currently in my inventory, and at the time of this video, I have 2,213 listings, to retrieve all those that over the last 3 months got 0 page views, if that makes sense. So all you do is hit add search. Now, based on that, I have one product in the past 3 months that has never gotten any eyeballs on it. Now, in my opinion, there is absolutely no reason to keep this in my inventory. For whatever reason, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of detail on that, but for my purposes, that's a dead product. And all I do is click here, and then I'm going to use Ecom, choose delete selected from Ecom and Amazon. And yep, I want it to be permanently removed. And that's it. So that product is now gone. Ecom will then purge it from my inventory inside of Ecom, and it's also going to go ahead and delete it out of my listing inside of Amazon. One fell swoop. Okay? So that's one step. So what I'm going to do, go back to advanced search. I'm going to get out of this, close that. I just like to refresh. So now I'm going to go back and start from the beginning. So the next thing I want to do is, what I like to do is I'm going to try to isolate this down a little bit more. So we've already know we've got page views that are 0, right? So now what I want to do is drill down a little bit further, if you will. And I'm going to go page views that are less than 30. Why? Because I'm doing a 3-month scope, right? 3-month period of data. And I figure, over a 30-day period, if it's not getting at least 10 page views, chances are, it's not an effective product, or it just may not sell fast enough. Whatever the reasoning is, again, this is my personal opinion. You can tailor this any way that you like. But anyhow, so I'm going to look for page views that have less than 30. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a relative parameter. And I want to know where the current buy box price of this listing and my price is greater than, let's see, am I doing this right? Let's see here. Current buy box price is greater than buy box percentage of 5%. Okay? So what that's now asking is, out of the last 3 months of all of my listings, I want to know how many products are getting less than 30% or 30 page views, and the buy box price, my price, is greater than the current buy box percentage by 5%. If everybody understands that, and we're going to go ahead and add a search. So that's dropped it down to 819 products. Now at this point, you basically, in my opinion, what I would do is just start asking the question, why? Why, if I am getting page views, as you can see, but I have no buy box and I'm not getting any sales? Well, ultimately what it does is it boils down to price, right? So that's why when I look at this, I want to know, is my price, actually I don't think I did that right. Let me go back and start all over here. I apologize. So we're going to do a fixed parameter selling, let's see here, I'm sorry. Page views less than 30. And I want a relative parameter where my price, there you go, is greater than the, let's see here, buy box percentage by 5%. So there you go. That's what I meant. All right. So add search. And again, 920 products. So again, this is basically telling me that out of my entire listings, I have 920 products that are outside of the buy box, but more importantly, they're outside of the buy box by more than 5%. So the ultimate response here is you have to ask yourself why. And this seems to be a rather large number, and rightfully so, it could be. But my opinion is I would, at this point, I would start in chunks of 10. That's why I kept the search to no more than 10. And then I would individually go through these and find out, well, why? Am I just not being profitable? And most likely, here's my min price on this particular item here. It says my min price is $60.92, but the current buy box is $49.03. So obviously, someone is selling this for dirt cheap, and there's no way I'm ever going to be profitable because I can't get down to within 5% of this price, right? So that would, for me, that would be a reason to go ahead and get rid of this product, okay? So that's what I'll do. Now, you can go through this and, one by one if you'd like. You can actually drill down and add another parameter if you'd like to isolate it even further. The one thing I will tell you, though, is be cautious. And remember, if you just start deleting a whole bunch of product, if you're not exactly sure why, you could be killing your momentum, all right? So don't get into the habit of just because it's, doesn't look like it's selling, that's an automatic reason to get rid of your products, okay? So again, you can't break it. I would play around with this. Choose the settings and the parameters that make most sense for you. Ultimately, though, the better you understand this and you incorporate this, ultimately, the stronger your portfolio becomes, okay? Now, the other good news is it's not too difficult to outsource this as well. So you could certainly train one of your VAs to handle this for you. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to do that. Personally, I do it myself, but then again, I only have 2,300 products. So for those of you that have thousands upon thousands of products, this might be something that you might want to have a VA take that off your plate and just periodically go through and do this. Now, I actually do this once a month, but I always go back 3 months worth of data, and this helps me keep my products in check, okay? So that's basically how it's done. I know I kind of went through that pretty quickly, and the only reason why is because there is no right or wrong way of doing this. You have to be able to determine what's best for you and what works is going to help you in the long run. But in my opinion, this is something you definitely should take advantage of. The better you understand what your products are doing, ultimately, the stronger your store becomes, and ultimately will, in my opinion, should lead to a lot more sales. Okay, so having said all of that, I hope that made a lot of sense to you. As always, feedback would be appreciated. If you don't agree or you think there's something you could add to this, certainly welcome that. Hey, guys, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Best of luck to everybody, and let's keep rocking. Remember, one product away, do your 1%. All right, guys, take care.